Okay. We are live without our.
Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Nick family. Welcome to Lunchtime Live, Nick's Recap and Reaction Show. I'm your host, Stephanie, aka Queen, joined by Geoff Klafter of the Happily Ever Klafter Daily Sports Blog. The Knicks won 7 in a row. They beat the Washington Wizards last night, 185-6. And that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. It's not really much, much to talk about. The Knicks handled their business. They handled their business. They did what good teams do. It was good to see that they didn't overlook Washington with the 3 games they have, on the other side of that game. And they came to play, led by as much as I think 42 points. I'm not sure I have much more to add. I'm going to turn it over to Geoff. Geoff, wherever you want to go.
Well, let's remember that it wasn't too long ago that we went into Sacramento and laid an absolute egg against a team of similar talent and quality to the current Wizards squad. So, yeah, you could say, yeah, the Wizards are garbage and trash, but we took them out and emptied them like we're supposed to instead of, letting them hang around our living room. So, good job by the Knicks. As you said, that's the kind of show that we wanted. One where we didn't have to overextend our starters. I think the things that I want to talk about that from this game are don't really have to do much with the on-court play itself, but 3 items, and they're all similarly related. The first is Josh Hart tweaking his ankle, which I think is significant because we've seen when Hart goes down, he's an integral part of what the Knicks do, and I think this 7-game stretch he's been a key part of it. And if he has to miss the Denver game, that would be problematic for sure, especially since the Deuce ankle injury appears to be much more than soreness, according to reports. And so how long is he going to be out? Is that a situation that's going to require surgery, or, what's going on with McBride? I mean, he's missed 4 games in a row, and now they're kind of waiting on tests. That seems ominous to me. And then Kumo D, who was playing lights out phenomenal for us, he went down with an ankle injury as well, and so it's kind of like the Warriors 3 here got of injuries, and they may not be our star players, but there's certainly impact players, all 3 of them. Even Diawara, who in limited minutes last night he just looks like a basketball player. He looks really good. Is he raw? Does he make mistakes? Absolutely he does, but he just seems to have a knack for the game, an IQ for the game. He passes the ball well. He's a tough rebounder. He does all the little things that don't show up on a stat sheet, and he made a couple shots last night, which really makes him, and he's not shy about that either, right? Like if he gets the opportunity, he's going to ready, aim, fire, and so which is nothing wrong with that, but especially with Denver coming to town today, like we need all hands on deck, and ankles aren't usually things that you just come back and tape it up and you're good to go. But maybe that's the case, and does that hinder them or hamper them when they're in the lineup today? And I wouldn't expect Deuce to be back probably this week, by judging by those reports. So I guess that's kind of where my focus is. For the week ahead and for what's going on, every bit as much as, yeah, the Knicks did what they were supposed to against a bad team. But look, good teams take care of business. 7 straight is 7 straight. That's all. You know what I mean? You can only do what the schedule allows you to do, and they didn't struggle. They didn't haggle. They punched him in the mouth in the first quarter. They punched him even harder in the second quarter. And then, we probably would have had another opponent under 100 points if the bench hadn't, gotten a little loose on the defense there. But whatever, 101 is fine. Like,
Right.
it doesn't matter.
I will say, to the injuries, we've been winning without Deuce. Not that we can't use him. We definitely can. Diawara is not usually in the with the injuries he has been. I think the Knicks will do okay without that. And I think with Hart without him, and I think with Hart, somebody's just going to have to step up. Now, is that Bridges now becoming a bit more assertive? He did have 23 points last night, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks. 8 of 10 from the field, which is pretty good. Really good, actually. 3 or 4 from 3, and went to the free throw line 5 times. Okay, Bridges, I see you.
Wait a minute. What? Say that again.
5 times last night. And so I'm not underestimating Hart's impact. One of my favorite players on the team. It's just someone else is going to have to step up. OG Anunoby continues to look good, continues to look aggressive. Landry Shamet shot well last night, 5 of 8 from the field, 4 of 6 overall for 14 points. And my point is, these are all players that will have to step up in the absence of Hart, Diawara, and to a lesser extent Diawara, but Hart and and McBride. And let's see what happens. Good stats all around. But it was washed. Look at Huck Porty, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks, 5 personal fouls. But still, 5 or 6 from the. It's just I'm looking at the stat sheet. It was just good play all around. Where I would like to go next is Karl Anthony Towns. Last night, one, they went to him and when we played Toronto wasn't very tall, shorter than Washington, and we didn't go to him. I thought he got multiple touches last night, but also I thought he was really strong with the ball. I thought all of his moves were definitive moves, no flopping, no flailing, just definitive moves. Even when he missed the chippy or even when he was fouled, it still was him going strong to the basket. 19 points, 15 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Been looking like himself of late. Any thoughts on Karl Anthony Towns?
Well, and in 26 minutes, right? That, in other words, those are truncated. Like, he didn't have to play in the fourth quarter, so he probably would have had an even more massive night than that. But also, no elbows to the face that picked up cheap offensive fouls. We've seen that go away in the last 3 games, which good riddance as far as I'm concerned. If we never see that again, it'll be too soon, right? So from that standpoint, I really appreciate and look, Towns are great ball player. Like, for all the talk of every, of Giannis and everything else, let's not forget this is an third-team All-NBA player, multi-time, 6-time All-Star. If you want the full list, go to David Smith and he will, recite every accolade he's ever had. But he's not wrong. This is a very talented basketball player. And were we in the doldrums? Was he maybe in his feelings a little bit? Yeah, but I think that it kind of looks like the whatever rumors out there are dissipating, and it looks like, for better or for worse, this is the team that we have, which could be problematic considering I think all of our chief competitors improved themselves on Tuesday. I don't know if you want to go into that conversation or not, but
we can. If we finish with this game, we definitely can.
So we're going to need him to be at his best, and this is a good start. He's going to have a bigger challenge tonight with the Joker, right? And he'll have some help because Mitchell Robinson was left out of this game so he could play in the Denver game, which I think is a smart use of the back-to-back in terms of coaching. I like the job that Mike Brown did. It's interesting. I retweeted something from Tommy Beer earlier today, and it was a comparison of the Knicks through 50 games this year versus the Knicks through 50 games last year. And we're in every metric, and maybe he cherry picked the metrics, I'm not sure, but in every metric, we showed improvement, including winning percentage, the offensive rating, defensive rating, net rating. The minutes for the starters is down. The minutes for the bench obviously would be up as a result of that. And just, I think it really laid out the case that, you don't necessarily see it as, it's kind of like with when your kids are developing, if you're around them every day, you don't maybe notice this as much, but then when your aunt comes to visit, they're like, oh, they've grown so much, and, because they haven't seen them in 6 months or whatever the case may be. So I think it's kind of like that we sometimes get so laser focused on, oh, they were awful this game, they were great that game, and the roller coaster of the season, and we don't take a second to step back and kind of take a telescopic view and say, hey, through 50 games, we're a little bit better than we were last year. Now, part of what we have to remember is that Thibodeau's teams tended to finish strong. And so we don't know if that's going to be the case with Mike Brown or not. And so I think that will be interesting moving forward. But I do think that it is a positive sign that we're kind of trending upward and above what we were from last year's team.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I'll also add, though, that I think the comparison may not be to last year's team. I think the comparison is to the field, So it's good. It's good that, because last year's team was good. So to your point, it's good that in those metrics we're better than we were last year. It'll be interesting to see how that matches up with the rest of the championship contending team. And if, to your point, if we finish strong and we make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals, that's I think the metric, that's what Dolan has said himself, not even back to the Eastern Conference Finals, to the finals he wants to go. Shout out to Keith Turner, just entered the building. Appreciate you, and Andrew K as well. Yeah, I agree. Taking that long range view, when you're in and out, game in, game out, you do tend to lose that perspective. I just think we've gone through so many iterations of this team. And I even think now this is like a different iteration, at least over the past few games, because Brunson has taken a step back, offensively. Now, this may just be part of his process. In these games, this is what's needed. When we play these tougher games, something else might be needed. We'll see. We'll see how his process develops over the course of the season. OG has stepped up. The ball is moving. So it's like we're a better defensive team. So we're going through yet another iteration of who is this team? And we may not know, Geoff, until the end of the season. But I do like what I'm seeing so far, particularly from OG. Mikal getting to the line more, Brunson passing more. I know for some, that's it. He's passing more. That's it. Not for me. It's not. To me, it's more about knowing when to pass, when to score. It's more about that. It's more about that balance. And we're going to play some tougher teams. So I want to see where he is in that balance with these tougher teams.
Well, and it's interesting. It's almost, it's almost to the point of ridiculousness with the record. But I think when Brunson has 21 field goal attempts or more, the Knicks are 12-12. And when he has 20 or fewer, we're like 20-2 or something like that. So that's right. And in some ways it's counterintuitive, but it really feels like the 30 assists model where everybody, gets their chance to shine has kind of been more of a successful one for this Knick team, as opposed to, a more Brunson centric offense. But one of the things that we have seen that was in those metrics is that the dribbles per possession is down significantly, which means that the ball is moving better, that we're not seeing as much isolation play as we did in last season. So all of those things are facts, right? You can't, facts don't care about your feelings, right? That's what's actually happening. And so I think that there are encouraging signs, but to me, and I think this is where a lot of us are, maybe I'm wrong, but I really still don't know what the identity of this team is. Like, I don't know who they are. Like, I don't have confidence that they're going to be able to carry this 7-game stretch over into this next stretch of games, which is a brutal gauntlet up to the All-Star break. We have 5 games left, and they're all probably going to be difficult. I know the Pacers. You think the Pacers aren't going to play as tough? You haven't been paying attention, right? They always. Well, it doesn't matter how bad they are. They're gonna give us a fit. But and the other games are just all against really good basketball teams, and so and we're certainly capable of playing to their level and beating them, but I just don't know who this team is. I don't really know if the defensive identity of the last couple of games is real and something we can rely on. I don't know if the OG Anunoby that we've seen is the one from the first part of the season that disappeared for the 11-game stretch and now is back. Which is the right Knicks and which is not the right Knicks. Like, I don't have any answers to that. And so to me, that makes it difficult to project, like, where is this team going to go? Not just this week, but in the second half of the season in general.
I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. I will say that the success of this team depends on everything we're seeing now continuing. Because for those who want to see Brunson take 16 shots, that's based on the other players taking and hitting theirs, right? It's not just that he's taking, 20 or less, but whoever else is getting the shots are also making them and contributing. And so if OG is not that and Bridges is not that, then that all collapses, right? So, he
can't get to 19 and then say, "Okay, guys, I'm going to the bench."
Right. So, listen, I'm of the impression, and I'm probably on an island by myself, that your stars have to be stars if you're going to win in this league. And I think that, and I hope I can explain this correctly, you want those other guys to shine as much as they can help your stars be stars. Because if you start treating them like stars and taking too many shots away from your stars to them and give it to them, you're going to find out in the playoffs, they're not going to be able to deliver. That's why they're not stars. You know what I mean? So I hope I'm saying that right. That balance between shot distribution and making sure everyone is involved is really to the point that it's creating gravity and choices for your best players to be at their best. A true equal opportunity offense where these guys are getting as much or more shots than your best players, to me, plays in the hand of the other team. Because when it really, really comes down to it, those guys are not going to come through as consistently. I'm not saying they're not going to come through as consistently as your best players. So I want OG to shine and Bridges to shine and all of these guys to shine to the point that it makes it easier for Brunson and Cat to do what they do. I hope I said that right. In no way am I trying to say they should hog the ball, but you got to be careful with that balance, because as well as OG's been playing, as well as Bridges has been playing, they not Cat and they not Brunson, who know how to play when the defense is solely focused on them. You understand? So I like the way Brunson is playing right now, but let's not get it twisted. Let's not get it twisted that he could just automatically turn into Halliburton and these other guys are going to be able to carry us through. No, that balance has to be there. and I'm interested in what that balance is from game to game, right? From game to game. It's gonna be a different balance. And that's part of his process, and that's part of reading what we need. So when I'm talking about super excited about these next 3 games, I feel like the playoffs have started. That's how I feel. I feel like this is like the second round of the playoffs because I want to see how my Knickies do versus these teams.
And just to piggyback off of what you said, I mean, I think that we all want guys like OG and McCall to be stars in their role, right? That's one of the things. I'm not expecting you to lead the league in scoring, OG Anunoby, but just be a star in your role. Do the things that you do well. To the best of your ability. But then I think a lot of the issue with this team is what exactly is his role. Like, I don't know that that's defined. Like, sometimes he's more
like
of an
third. He's looking like the second or third option right now.
And then sometimes it's like, where's Waldo? We don't know what happened to him. Like, he's on a different planet. And so I actually think that Towns, to his credit, has kind of taken a little bit of a step back and said, okay, my role is going to be more of that as a rebounder. And maybe not take as many shots and not have to average 23 a game. But if I only have to average 19 a game and the Knicks and we're still winning, then and I'm going to sacrifice some shots for the good of the team, I'm willing to do that. And I think that speaks loudly of volume about what he's doing on the court. And I think Brunson is buying in also. But I kind of agree with you too that I don't know that the Knicks are quote unquote at their best with those two subjugating their shots to the rest of the team in perpetuity. So I agree with you about the balance. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're so unsure about this team moving forward. Cause we're hot right now, but I don't know if we've found the proper balance, and I'm not sure if we will find the proper balance, and so I think that those are the concerns moving forward, in spite of, because it's funny, the 7-game win streak brought us to 9-9 in our last 18 games. Or it's something like that, because I think we were 2-9. Yeah. So we're 9-9 in our last 18 games, which nobody in Knick universe would have signed up for a 9-9 stretch. Like, we want to do so much more, but at the same time, it's our second 7-game winning streak of the season, and we had one bad patch, and it may have just been sometimes everything goes wrong at the same time with schedule, with injuries, with all of these things, and they all just kind of snowballed into a West Coast trip in the midst of that, and they all just kind of snowballed into one big mess. And then, credit to the team, they were able to, put their foot down and say, okay, this has to stop. We have to start playing a different way. And that begins on the defensive end. And if we can defend like we've been defending, and I'm not sure that we can, but if we can defend like we've been defending these last 7 games, we're going to be a tough out for anybody. Like, this streak, I mean, Pete, in the modern NBA, I don't think you should understand, holding teams to 100 points is, any team to 100 points in the modern NBA is pretty good. Like, the average offensive rating is like 110, 111, 113. You know what I mean? It's much bigger than that. And so when you're like 10 points below that, you're doing something extraordinarily right. And, I think it was Jalen Brunson got Defensive Player of the Game for the first time. I think that's a really good sign. I think that everybody would have, that should surprise everyone, right? I mean, he was in the first percentile at one point. I don't know where he is now, but first percentile in terms of defenders in the league at one stretch of the season. So for him to uptick in defense, not just this game, and I think you can argue in this entire stretch, he's played better defense, and that has helped us. And the scheme has helped him too. Like, we're being very intentional about keeping him out of the action in a way that we didn't really do before. We were just kind of like, okay, well, these are our principles. We're going to stick to those principles no matter. Now it's kind of like, okay, our principles have changed a little bit. Our principles are don't leave Brunson out on an island, don't leave Cat out on an island, and communicate and do what you have to, and move yourself, move your body, so that we minimize those opportunities for the other team. And then and I do you agree with that's what's happening, or am I just saying something that's not there?
No. I agree. I can't say I'm as plugged in schematically as you, Geoff. I'm definitely getting better and better at it. Seeing what the Knicks are doing, but I definitely see that they're more disciplined. I definitely see that the communication is there, and they look to be more on, the string. And I forgot what game it was. Brunson was playing somebody one-on-one and he got no help. And I was like, thank goodness. Like, it's okay if somebody scores over Jalen Brunson. Like, we don't all have to go to go to his aid, so to speak. It's okay to just play somebody one-on-one and they shoot over the top and they hit the shot. Like, it happens all the time. No need to overreact, so staying at home definitely helps as well. Defensively, I'm excited about seeing different types of offenses this week. Detroit that plays in the paint, Boston who likes to see threes and really get to test our defense against, different offenses. So I'm super
Denver,
excited.
who's kind of the hybrid between the two, right? Because they have Jamal Murray and some others and I think Peyton Watson, is that the kid's name, who like to do their damage from the perimeter, and then you have Jokic who can kill you inside or out. And so, and Detroit loves to get inside, but they made a deal for Kevin Huerter, who should be probably available for that game. He's going to help their perimeter shooting. He's a career 37% shooter from beyond the arc, and he should get plenty of opportunities with the way that Cade Cunningham can go in the paint. And so now they have a second guy who's really good perimeter shooter, and that's really been their weakness. So it'll be interesting to see how he impacts their game. And he's not a traffic cone defensively either. I don't think he's going to hurt them as far as what they want to do conceptually on defense. I don't even think you have to hide him. I think he's just one of those solid. I mean, he's not defensive player of the year candidate. Don't misunderstand. But he's not. He you can run whatever scheme you want to, and he can plug in and do that. And he's a guy with 3 years worth of playoff experience too. So and that's something that they don't have a lot of in Detroit. So I think that we're going to see him on, is it Friday that we play Detroit in Detroit? So
I believe so. And also, to add to your point, I wonder if they run out lineups with both him and Robinson. Even though Duncan Robinson is not a good one-on-one defender, he's a really good team defender coming out of that the years that he played in Miami. So yeah, I mean, you could say they still don't have a secondary scorer, but they have guys now that can create space. Cleveland moved Garland for James Harden, who's having a really good season this particular season, despite his age. And he looks to be in shape, right? He doesn't look fat. He looks to me, in shape. So that makes them more dynamic, offensively. And it does allow Donovan Mitchell to play off the ball even more. I mean, he was playing off the ball with Garland as well, but you don't even have to touch it,
but Harden will get him the ball where he Harden's a very good playmaker. Like, I think that goes understated. I mean, this is a guy who ran the Mike D'Antoni system at an elite level. I mean, he's a shot maker and a foul baiter and all of those things, but he's also very good at penetrating and kicking out to Donovan Mitchell. So from that standpoint, yes, I think he helps. He doesn't have the reputation as being a playoff riser in his career. I think that's putting it mildly. So I'm not sure that helps them to take the next step. I do think that the Garland Mitchell pairing wasn't working. I think that I don't, and clearly Harden's a better player than Garland has ever been. But this really, when you're trading for a 36-year-old and you're giving away a 26-year-old guy who's been an all-star, you're really, saying our window is now. We need to make something happen, pretty quickly. And I think if they flame out, then Donovan Mitchell may be like, I'm out of here, guys. I don't want to sit here and be a partner to James Harden, you know what I mean? And we know that Harden seems to get his best skill is to get traded out of situations he doesn't want to be into. I think this is the 4th time in 5 years, he's moved on and the grass has never been greener. So I'm not sure that it's going to be this time either, but in the short term, I do think he's a better player. He'll make Cleveland better, whether he is the piece that gets them to the championship. I'm not really sure that James Harden is a finishing piece because he never has been. So I'm curious about that, but I do think it helps them in the regular season, and it may help them in the standings to get to a 2 or a 3 seed, which is where we're at right now. So definitely concerning if you're a Knick fan, because I don't see a whole lot of people out there saying the Cavs didn't get better in the short term with that swap.
Yeah. And it's possible that he'll unlock, Jared Allen, excuse me, and Mobley a bit more. We shall see. And then Boston, which in a surprising move, because Anthony Simons was playing really good for them off the bench. They definitely needed center help, and now they have Vucevic, right? Nikola Vucevic, who should help them.
Killer.
Yeah, he's a different. I would think they would go with somebody a bit more mobile, right? But maybe they feel like they can put enough defense around him and be fine. So yeah, and we get a chance to see them on Sunday, and Vucevic should be available for that game as well.
Well, he does check a lot of boxes for them, though, because he's a true 5-out center. He can shoot it all the way to the 3-point line. He's an excellent passer, and he can make plays from. If you want to put him at as a hub at the nail, he certainly is capable of doing that. He's a high assist player. He's a terrific rebounder, which I think is something that Boston has wanted as well. And I just kind of have the feeling that they're going to find a way to hide him. He's not the rim protector that Porzingis was, or even that Al Horford was, but he brings a lot of the same things that those two guys did, and he adds. I think he certainly adds to them. And the other thing about that is they got I think a $27 million traded player exception out of the deal, which is an increase from the one that they had from Porzingis, which will allow them to add someone, perhaps Miles Turner, if he wants out of Milwaukee, and he would be an excellent fit for them. And then you bring back Jason Tatum to go with Jaylen Brown, and all of a sudden their window gets even wider, right? It opens back up in a way where it almost felt like it was closed after the Tatum injury and after New York knocked him out of the playoffs. So outstanding job by the Celtics. They always seem to do everything 100% correct. It's crazy what a sharp mind Brad Stevens is. Really credit to him. And they entered the week tied with us, right? We're 32-18 each. We played Denver tonight on a second back-to-back for both teams. Boston is on a second game of a back-to-back. They're in Houston after beating Dallas last night. So, tonight is a really big night, right? Even before we get to the one-on-one matchup. In other words, because if you're, you feel much better if you go into that game up a game or, 2, as opposed to trailing them and having to win just to get back to even. That's a significant storyline, but it's Boston has had a glut of guards, and they were able to turn their surplus into something much more balanced. And I think that's something I kind of a little bit envious of from a Knicks standpoint, because the guys that are our glut, so to speak, are guys who are unmovable in Clarkson and Yabusele. Like, nobody wants them. Not that I can say that I blame them the way that they've played, but and so it really limits us with we don't really want to get rid of McBride, and he's hurt. Mitch is not a full-time player yet, so we're really limited in how we can improve from what we are right now, other than just internal growth and our own players continuing to step up, which they have. But how high is the ceiling for that, as opposed to bringing in someone who significantly upgrades the talent of your roster?
I would say, though, from our perspective, it looks like nobody wants the players, but I bet the Knicks get something done that upgrades this roster. Everybody knows who Clarkson is. Even if he's not playing for the Knicks, everybody knows who he is. Yabu is a different story, right? He had that one good season in Philly, so maybe teams may or may not know, but everybody knows who Clarkson is. And I will say, going back to Boston, I do think Vucevic ticks a lot of boxes, but he can be played off the floor too, defensively, because he's not a defensive center. So I'm pretty sure they still felt like they would be able to cover for him, and if he does have to sit, we can bring whoever was Cortis or whatever his name is. We can bring him in for those moments. I'm not going to say it's a total slam dunk, but yeah, in terms of what he brings rebounding and offensive wise, definitely helps them. But he can be played off the floor in the playoffs. So yeah, we will see. Yeah, Simons was helping them win games. When I was researching for the Stats and Storylines preview show, that's what they was talking about, how he was helping them, and it'd be interesting to see at the trade line whether they would trade him for a center. So I don't think it was an easy decision.
Well, I think it was an economic decision too. I don't think they wanted to pour money into, like, he was already making $20 million. Do they want to, and he's an expiring deal. Is that where they're a team that just got out of salary cap Hades? Do they want to, go back toward that for a guy who, is, he's helped them, yes, but he's also very, his skill set is duplicated many times over with the Peyton Pritchards and Brown and I mean, even guys like Hauser and I'm missing Derek White, so they have a lot of different guards who they employ already. So do you double down and pay him $25 million, or do you move on from him and get a piece that makes a lot of sense? He's older, but they can let him go, and as I said, they can get someone, even if they want to replace that archetype of Simons, they could get someone like a Colin Sexton, perhaps, into that trade exception.
I will say, though, they may have a lot of guards, but Hauser and Pritchard and all of those, they ain't Simons. Simons is somebody who can get his own shot. And I don't think he's as good a 3-point shooter as those guys. And his defense has actually improved. So I do think it was a money issue, because I think he's different than those guys. He's a guard, but I think he's a different type of guard than those. But I do agree with you, getting off the money, and you could probably find that architect type cheaper in the off season, particularly with Tatum. Going back, I do want to. Any last words, though, because I do want to get to the chat.
Let's go ahead and get to the chat. I think that they deserve to be heard, and I don't know that there's a whole lot else. I kind of went off the rails here talking about stuff that wasn't really this week's games or
Washington. There wasn't much to and talking about the changes that Boston made and Detroit made is relevant, because we're going to see them. We're going to see them this week. Andrew K, appreciate you. Harden in Cleveland with Mitchell should be entertaining. Brad trading Simons for Vucevic. I'm not too sure about, but we will see. Knicks 7-0 since the team meeting. And he's on an expiring, right? So, or he doesn't have a lot left on his contract. So if it doesn't work out, they can move on.
For sure.
Walter White, appreciate you. With Harden and Mitchell in the game, who's going to guard the perimeter?
And they don't have DeAndre Hunter anymore either. I mean, they have, don't they have Schroeder and
Keon Ellis?
And Keon Ellis. Well, Keon Ellis is a decent defender, but not locked down by any stretch.
Andrew K. Who guards Jamal Murray and Peyton Watson tonight? I'm okay. I'm getting real comfortable with the Knicks defense. So I think we're going to be okay, but we shall see. Keith Turner. We winning, so I ain't complaining. Okay.
Salute, Keith.
Mm-hmm. Break Forever. Walt Frazier brought that up last night, talking about how successful the Knicks are depending on how many shots Brunson takes. He definitely did bring that up. Andrew K. again, OG should be on the All-Star team. Okay. All right. I would not have been surprised if he was. Cat's defense and his effort needs to be spoken about. Yeah. Big improvement as of late. I agree with you. All right. Bodega Wi-Fi, would you trade Yabu for Al Horford?
Yes, but the Warriors wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't think the Warriors make that deal. Even with Butler being out for the season, I don't think that I mean, you'd have to attach some kind of draft capital to sweeten that pot for sure, because that's the problem with Yabu is he's got the player option for the second season, and there's no way he's going to decline it so he can make, you know what I mean, make less money.
Yeah.
Unless he goes to Europe.
I did see that, Kerry Cox. I mean, Al Horford, who is Al Horford at this point? You know what I mean? We're not getting much out of Yabu, I agree, but yeah. Yeah. I'm not pounding the table for Al Horford at this point in his career. Kim Doc, I was in the building last night. The vibes were 85% plus Knick fans. I live in the area, but talking to people, there were college students that were from New York, people that traveled from Virginia. Yeah, last year I made both of the Washington, D.C. games, and it was the same vibe. Like we had our own section. It's just Knick fans.
They had a thing on X. It was, see if you can spot a Wizards fan. Like the fan in the crowd.
Right. Landry shot looked so money in person. No arc to it. Just pinpoint precision. Loud MVP trance. The Trae Young booing was crazy. He looked kind of shell-shocked about it. I didn't see the injuries. Okay. And then last, from reporting from the Capital One Center. Kim
we appreciate you, Kim Doc. This is great, by the way.
Cat was mauled like 4 times. No foul call. It's really wild to see in person. Fans was yelling, "Yo, that's a foul." Yeah, that's just what it is. He's
how he responded to that and didn't let it bother him. Just kept playing. Then wasn't, I love that aspect of maturity and just not letting the circumstances get to. He expected it, and he just kept playing and kept dominating. And that, that dunk that he had to end Sarr's life from the top of the key was impressive. Like drove all the way down and just hammered it on him. That's an impressive play from a 7-footer.
Yeah, for sure. Big Weekend 72. Should the Knicks push for Nick Richards? It's going to take more than Yabu. I think I heard a report that they did offer Yabu for Nick Richards, and even though he's out of the rotation, Phoenix said no. And again, that probably has something to do with what Geoff said, that he has a player option. Wiz BK LA, I think trading DeAndre Hunter was a mistake because he has great skills and height. I would want somebody like him. Go Yabu. He makes a lot of money, and he wasn't really performing the way they hoped he would perform. And so, like, these are the things you have to take into consideration. Now we're going over the cap for this particular player. We're going over the second apron, I should say, for this particular player, for this particular team. This is what front offices are thinking about. So sometimes they'll come off of a player who's really good in a vacuum, but for what it's doing to their salary cap, no go. you know? So I think that was part of it. And he wasn't playing well. Up to what they thought he would. DeAndre Hunter will be missed by Cleveland, in my opinion. Okay. Brunson went to the line, and Washington was yelling MVP. I'm keeping Kolick over Clarkson. Of course, Clarkson is basically out of the rotation. He did get some minutes.
Token minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, even in a night when Kolick shot 1 for 7, he was still a plus 10 because he had the 6 dimes and just 2 turnovers. So, I mean, Kolick's showing he has value.
Yeah. All right. I mean, that's all I have. The Knicks play Denver tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, 12:30. I see the super chat. We'll be back tomorrow, 12:30, to talk about what I hope to be a Denver win. And definitely more.
Knicks win over Denver. Be careful now.
Be careful now. I meant to say a Knicks win over Denver, and either way, we'll learn more about this team tonight. Shout out to Nick Nation. Appreciate the super chat. Salute to the panel and another well done show. I appreciate that. So our movable pieces are Yabusele, Pacome, and Clarkson. Our movable pieces are everybody other than Brunson, depending on who we're talking about. It depends on who we're talking about. I've heard conversations about Tari Eason. Oh my God, he's one of my faves. Tari Eason, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, some of my favorite players. I dream of them, for the Knicks. But we shall see. I hope not, Walter White. I hope not.
What about Ayu Dosunmu? It looks like the Bulls got a couple of extra guards in. Do you think maybe
Kobe White too?
Yeah. I don't think I would rather have Ayo than Kobe, but maybe that's a mistake on my part. But I think Kobe would cost more.
Okay. I'm about to say he could generate his own shot in the Knicks.
Oh yeah, he's a much better player. I don't know that we can get Kobe without trading. Like, how much does Kobe make? I don't know. I don't know. I thought Ayu and had a similar salary range to Yabusele. That was the only reason I was saying that.
Yeah, I don't know about Yabu with that play option.
Yeah, agreed there.
Yeah.
But if you were going to lose him for nothing anyway, in other words, if you've stockpiled all these guards and he's a free agent enough to maybe I don't know. Yeah, you'd have to sweeten it with a pick or something, and I don't really want to do that. Just I mean,
if it's a second round, the Knicks got 687 of them.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
could get one of those Obi Toppin second rounders and maybe get something out of him so that Adjay can quit harping about it.
I think they can. I just think that I don't think this for Yabu. I just don't think how we play is a fit for him. And Clarkson, I just think the Knicks have just really locked in on defense. And so that's at least what I think. It could be some other behind the scenes reasons too. He could have gotten into a fight with Mike Brown. I don't know. They could have had a falling out. I don't know.
I agree with you, Queen. I think what you're saying is what I'm saying. So I agree with you.
Yeah. So we shall see. Anyway, I appreciate everybody in the chat. I appreciate the replay gang. And I definitely appreciate the silent listeners. And of course, Geoff, I appreciate you. Tomorrow is the trade deadline. We have the show tomorrow night. So it's a double dip tomorrow, right? The lunchtime live show recap, and then the weekly show where we kind of get to talk about the Knicks adding players, the Knicks staying pat, what that means, but we'll also get to talk about how the landscape of the Eastern Conference has changed.
And we'll know what definite. It won't be guesswork. Like we've been speculating on what the Knicks could do. We'll know what the Knicks have done, and then we'll also be able to talk about maybe possible buyout candidates, depending on I think we have to move one of our players for no salary to kind of have enough room to do that. Is my understanding from talking to some people who kind of are in the know. Remember, you had brought that up to ask me about that. I was right about the caliber of players that we could get, but we don't really have enough room at present to just sign one outright, just to throw that in there.
Right. Yeah. All right. I think we did that one already. Anyway, until next time, family. Appreciate all of you.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at?
Dope Soul.